Rafael Devers has agreed to be the designated hitter. It's the hitting part of it that he's having trouble with.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. And I'm at I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is post things right here on YouTube. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And by the way, nobody put in an answer for our trivia question from that I posted on Sunday morning. And so I'm gonna have it roll over for today. I'm gonna ask it again at the end of the day. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I posted the show a little too early. Maybe some of you are catching up. I'll put the trivia question again at the end of this show. Happy Cesar Chavez Day, everybody. And that's all I'll say on that because I don't know. These days, you don't know what's going to upset somebody, but I know what's going to upset you is if I don't tell you who owned baseball for March 30th, 2025. Let us review. Well, those weird clubs that the Yankees are using, they're still working as they can still homer at will against the Milwaukee Brewers. They completed the sweep of the Brewers, a pretty resounding sweep, at least in terms of their offense. Their pitching still didn't give them a great performance today, but hey, it didn't matter. They went on to win. Jazz Chisholm homered twice, got another hit. He drove in 5, and the Yankees stampeded to a 12-3 win over the Brew Crew. A couple of pitching candidates out there. I'm going with Tanner Bybee, who pitched into the 6th inning. He allowed 2 hits and no runs over 5 2/3 innings as Cleveland topped Kansas City 6-2. As I do, who own baseball every day, you will see that I lean towards people who go deeper into games. That's the main reason why Tanner Bybee was over Jacob deGrom, but I'll get to deGrom in just a minute. Hey, Nathaniel Lowe, is it Lau or Lowe? I can never keep those LOWEs on Tampa Bay straight. All I know is that he's now with Washington. Was that the same one who played for Tampa Bay? Forgive me. I know Derek Lowe wasn't there. I know Nathaniel Lau went 3 for 4 with a homer, and the Nats finally won a game 5-1 over the Phillies. And former Philly Nick Pivetta pitched great for his new team, San Diego. 7 innings. He allowed 1 hit, no walks, and the Padres blanked Atlanta 5-0 to complete the sweep. Half wobs went to Matthew Boyd. He threw 5 shutout innings, but the Cubs bullpen absolutely imploded. We'll get to that game in a little bit. Willie Castro hit a double and a homer, but the Twins got pummeled by St. Louis 9-2. J.P. Sears did not walk a batter over 6 2/3 innings, but the Mariners doubled up Sacramento 2-1. And Seiya Suzuki got on base 3 times, including homer, but the Cubs fell to Arizona 10-6. Let's talk about the game that I alluded to before. The Red Sox won the opening game of this season with a 9th inning rally in a dramatic game. They lost the second game 4-1, and they lost on Saturday 4-3, and they lost on Sunday 3-2. And all the games were close, but obviously the Red Sox offense, save for Julio Abreu's explosion in the opening game, 1 run on Friday, 3 runs on Saturday, 2 runs yesterday. All the games were razor thin, could have bounced this way, could have bounced that way. Look, no matter who you're rooting for, it's great to see Jacob deGrom back on the mound and looking solid. He struck out 6 in over 5 shutout innings. Jacob deGrom, when he's healthy, isn't one of the best pitchers in baseball. He is the best pitcher in baseball, and baseball is better with a healthy Jacob deGrom. By the way, Richard Fitz pitched fine for the Red Sox. He didn't walk a batter. He threw 6 innings. he got a hard luck loss. But once again, it was a 1-run game. And you can't start a year worse than what Rafael Devers has been doing so far. Now, to his mild credit, Devers walked with 2 outs in the top of the ninth, so he did at least get on base in a clutch situation. But the fact of the matter is, he has been not bad. He has been grotesque to the point where the Red Sox announcers were wondering, should he take the night off? Should he have a mental break 3 games into the season? Let's break down his stats so far. He has had 18 plate appearances, which is as many as anyone's had in the American League. He has not scored a run. He has not recorded a hit. So therefore, there's all extra base hits as well. No doubles, no triples, no homers, no singles, no nothing. He walked with the bases loaded, so he does have a run batted in, and he has walked twice. Once with the bases loaded, and with 2 outs in the ninth inning today. He also has struck out 12 times. Think about that. In 18 plate appearances and 16 official at-bats, he has struck out 12 times. That's what you expect from a pitcher, not someone who has been a legit all-star and potential MVP candidate for the last few years. This is someone who is, it wouldn't be so alarming if not for the backstory. Now, anyone can have a bad 4 days. Anybody can have a rotten 4 days, and I get that. And of course, it's accentuated because it's the first week of the season, and you look up and say, God, his OPS is 111. His batting average is 0. His slugging percentage is 0. I don't know when, that's always going to look bad. And everybody in baseball, in the history of baseball, Mickey Mantle had a rough 4-game stretch. Babe Ruth, Henry Aaron, Willie Mays, Frank Robinson, whatever player you're going to pull up has had a bad 4-game stretch. And it just so happens that Devers is having his 4-game stretch at the beginning of the year. It's not even the end of March. Okay. The fact of the matter, it's coming after the drama of him being angry that he didn't get that the Red Sox essentially moved him off of his position. That the Red Sox paid big money to get Alex Bregman here, and he seemed a little, ticked off by it. I respect that he got ticked off by it. I said that before. He's, you can't get to his level as a player without being, I don't know, a little bit of, being competitive, being a little macho, being a little, hey, you got to push me off of here. He signed a big, huge long-term deal to be the third baseman, and then they signed another third baseman. I can see, yeah, that could tick him off. And there was, is he going to demand a trade? Is he not showing up to spring training games? What does this mean? What does it mean? We're all reading the tea leaves. And then we hear, okay, Cora, this is Cora's greatest strength, is his being able to put out fires, said, hey, here's how it's going to be. You're going to be our DH. Bregman's going to be our third baseman. That's going to make the team better. And Devers has not been a good defensive third baseman. I understand it, but these are also human beings. These are not baseball cards. This is not fantasy baseball. These are human beings. And Rafael Devers, he's been with the Red Sox since 2017. This is his 9th season with the Red Sox. He exploded onto the scene in 2017, was a big part of why they won the World Series in 2018. He had a fabulous league championship series against the Houston Astros that year, has had big hits from left and right, and has signed a long-term deal. He's the centerpiece of the lineup, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and now has been pushed to the DH, and it looks like he's just out of sync. Now, what you hope for is today, if you're a Red Sox fan, you hope that they just go to Baltimore, shake the proverbial Etch-a-Sketch, and start again. It is you hope it's just a bad start and a little clunking, stumble out of the gate, dust yourself off, and there you go. You shouldn't have to be taking a mental day in the first 4 games of the season. But you know what? We'll see what happens. This could just be a hiccup. This could just be a new position for him. And you've seen instances where players don't like DHing. They like the sense of being in the field and, staying in the game and in the moment as opposed to shutting it down and being on the bench. I don't dislike the DH. I do wish I do wish baseball was the way it was because I liked that one league had the DH and one league didn't. I really liked that because I like pitchers hitting and I like the DH. We had a great system, but I've been able to rationalize it by saying, well, that probably saved a long-term labor strike because that was part of the negotiation in the lockout at the beginning of the 2022 season. So I've been able to sort of hold my nose and say, okay, universal DH, fine, whatever. But you know what? Not everyone can do it. Not everyone can turn it on and turn it off. Again, these are human beings. These are not baseball cards. This is not your fantasy league. These are human beings. And hopefully he can make that adjustment. Otherwise, this could turn into a big old bag of yikes. All right, let's hear from our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks for everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories to even who's cutting down the nets. Now, there's not many Cinderella stories left. In fact, you know what? You have the final 4 of the men's bracket are the 4 number 1 seeds. And I kind of like that. I know we all love the Cinderella stories, and I think we love to have that obscure college, psychotic state university got in there. But I also like rewarding teams that are darn good. You got 4 number 1 seeds in there. And if you played the number 1 seed all the way on every game through FanDuel, I'm guessing you cleaned up. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. That's FanDuel. By the way, a couple of people are here on the live feed. LK Time says, "Hello, Sully. Is this live?" Yes. What would it be wild if it wasn't? I just recorded that and put that in there. Jackson09 is here on the live feed. He says, "Morning, Sully. I appreciate the shows. You deserve a much larger audience." Well, here's the deal, Jackson09. By the way, Jackson09, have you seen the In Memoriam video that I put together? I'm still very proud of that. I'd love to see some more people watch that because I think you could have a lot of, make you cry a little bit. But there you go, Jackson09, with your Marine Corps insignia. So thank you for your service. You can help me get a larger show by telling people who are baseball fans who would like the show, let them know. And if you could all tell 250,000 of your closest friends, I guarantee you we will have a bigger audience. To be honest with you, I don't know the size of my audience here. I don't keep track of the numbers. I do this because I love it. By the way, today was an example of what I don't like about the universal DH because we saw something fun happen today. Remember fun? In a game between the Diamondbacks and the Cubs, the Cubs went off to took a big lead into I believe it was the 8th inning. Yeah, they had a 6-2 lead. Joe Mantiply hit a 3-run home run. It was 6-2 going into the 8th. And it was the Cubs were in control of the game. We're in control because Matthew Boyd pitched well. And then the bullpen absolutely imploded. In fact, there was a Cubs pitcher by the name of Eli Morgan. We all know Eli Morgan, and he was charged with 6 runs. 6 runs. So if you're playing Prize Picks, I really hope you didn't put Eli Morgan on your team. Either way, he let up a double to Perdomo, the game-tying homer to Lourdes Gurriel, Josh Naylor got the go-ahead double, and Ryan Nelson. Now, granted, the situation was a little different. They ran out of position players, and because they removed the DH, Ketel Marte started the game at DH and put him at second base. That meant they had to have the pitcher bat, and they ran out of position players. And Ryan Nelson, a reliever, came up as a hitter. And what did he do? He got an RBI single, and the place went nuts. Yes, Ryan Nelson is now a more productive hitter than Rafael Devers this year. And by the way, if Ryan Nelson doesn't have another at-bat this year, that's his first hit, his only plate appearance, and one hit. And if you ever play the Immaculate Grid, and they have the box there for 300 or higher career batting average, and it's for the Diamondbacks, put in Ryan Nelson because his career batting average is 1,000. That's a little tip from your pal Sully. By the way, if you get that for the Red Sox, 300 average for a season, put in Roger Clemens. Because Roger Clemens 1 year for the Red Sox, same thing. They removed the DH. He came up and he got a hit. You got to keep these things in the back of your head when you win that. But it's always fun when a pitcher gets a hit. Yes, I know it's not something that happens all the time, but that's one, because it's rare, it made it more fun. And it wasn't something that never happened. There were some hitters, pitchers who were decent hitters. And anytime you had that strategy that you would walk the number 8 batter to face the pitcher, or sometimes we're going to leave the pitcher in because he's pitching well and he winds up getting a hit, the crowd always went nuts. And also that sense of, they're getting the pitcher spot is coming up. Who do you have on the bench? What pinch hitter do you have here? Are you double switching all that? I loved all that. Now it's gone because me no like pitcher hit. He not hit as hard. Get someone hit harder. Fine, the universal DH knuckle draggers won that battle mainly to avoid a strike. Fine. But dumb loss for the Cubs. The Cubs, let me tell you something, Cub fans. Again, I know we're still only in March, so we can't go nuts here. But I'm going to go a little nuts here, Cub fans. They have lost 4 games this year. And 2 of the games they lost to the Dodgers. But Sully, the Dodgers are so great. Yes, but they played the Dodgers in Japan. They played the Dodgers where they didn't necessarily have the greatest pitching in the world for LA. They played the Dodgers where they weren't playing Betts or Freeman. They lost 2 of those games. And, they had a blowout. The Diamondbacks blew the doors off the dump on Friday. But today was a game, they were up 6-2 in the 8th, and they blew it. I'm just telling you, there's at least 2 games already that they had no business losing that they lost. If the Cubs fall a couple of games out of the playoffs, remember these games in March. And I'll tell you another games to remember in March. And this is one of the reasons why the baseball is so amazing, is that when it's this early in the season, you have hope. You have hope. Even if you're a team that has no real chance, if you start the season off right, you have a little bit of hope, which brings us to the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins, when they record the 2025 Miami Marlins on baseballreference.com, the single greatest website in the history of the planet Earth, they will say they had at least a couple of days above 500, and they will say they had a couple of days in first place. In fact, with their victory today and Philadelphia's loss, the Marlins' magic number to clinch the National League East has been reduced to 158. Keep an eye on that. I want to see a tally, Marlins fan. But today, in front of 15,000 people in Lone Depot Park, the Marlins won their 3rd game, 3rd out of 4 games. And appropriately, Jeff Conine, who was part of the 97 and 2003 World Series team, was being honored to be joining the Marlins Hall of Fame. And it was his son, Griffin Conine, who's on the Marlins, appropriately enough, hit a game-tying home run. And in the bottom of the 9th inning with the score 2-2, Derek Hill of the Marlins got a base hit. He stole second, and the throw went into center field. And Nick Fortes, who hit a critical triple earlier this week, was at the plate. It was a wild pitch. Hill came in, walk-off win for the Marlins. Here's the fun thing. All 3 wins for the Marlins so far have been walk-offs. The first time that's happened, the first 3 games being first 3 wins being walk-off since the 2003 Tampa Bay Devil Rays. But they walked off on opening day. They walked off on Saturday in the 12th inning, and they walked off on the wild pitch today. And it was a thriller on Friday, where it was a 1-run game. If they had rallied in the ninth, then it would have been 4 for 4 in walk-offs. But guess what? Good for the Marlins. Get out of the gate fast. Win these games right out of the gate. Are they going to be great for the season? Probably not. But the only way to do it is to get out of the gate, start winning these games early, and see what happens. The Mets are coming into town starting on Monday afternoon, and look, we'll see what the Mets can do. And then they got to head off to Atlanta. Atlanta hasn't won yet. Atlanta just got swept by the San Diego Padres. If they win a game here or a game there, you know what? We'll see how long they're playing where they're having fun. And I also think a great thing about this time of the year is just getting hooked on a game that on paper, why do I care? I got hooked on a bunch of those Marlin Pirate games, and I watched a couple of them right to the end. And you know what? They were thrilling. They were absolutely thrilling. And the fans that were there, they were having a blast. Do you know why? They're not out of it yet. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help finding an order? Well, Supply House can offer expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, so we got ourselves a full slate of games going on Monday, and I have the day off because it's Cesar Chavez Day. So our school doesn't have school on Cesar Chavez Day, and so I'm going to honor his great legacy by watching me some baseball. The White Sox, by the way, give the White Sox some credit. They won that first game, and they pitched pretty well the next 2. Now they're 1-2, and they're playing the Twins, who are 0-3. But we're going to see how they play. We're going to see how they're going. Give a lot of credit to the Angels, who had the doors blown off the dump in game 1 and then got only 1 hit the next day, and they've barely had an offense the second day, but they wound up winning that series. I gave them a lot of guff for losing that opening game in Chicago. But do you know what? They won the series. And that's all you can do. If you go into a place, I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing I don't care if you're playing the Brownies. I don't care who you're playing. If you go in and you win 2 out of 3, you got to tip your hat. If you're a team like the Angels, you got to try to win games at the right clip. An interesting series is going to start between the Tigers and the Mariners. The Tigers played 3 games against the Dodgers and played the Dodgers well all 3 games and lost all 3 games. And so they're going to dust themselves off and see if they can actually get themselves a win. Padres haven't lost yet, and they're going to be playing San Diego. They're going to be playing the Cleveland Guardians, and that's an interesting matchup. Braves and the Dodgers. That's an interesting matchup because those are 2 teams I predicted make the postseason this year. And Glasnow is starting for Los Angeles. The Braves are 0-4, and the Dodgers are 5-0. So that's we'll see how that goes off. Eventually, the Dodgers are going to lose a game. That's all there is to it. But obviously, the most interesting game is going to be played at 7:05 West Coast time, 10:05 on the East Coast. The Cubbies are going to Sacramento, and it'll be the first home game for the Sacramento A's. Estes is pitching. Brown is pitching for the Cubs. The A's will be wearing the number 24 in honor of Ricky Henderson, and it'll be the first game in front of the fans in Sacramento. And yes, that's what the team should be called, because they are the A's, and they're playing in Sacramento. Technically West Sacramento, but the West Sacramento A's is a little bit of a mouthful. But, you know, they're playing somewhere. They're playing somewhere. So hiding their team, their city name, they're just the Athletics. What are they? What are they, phantoms? No, they're the Sacramento A's. And whether they play in Sacramento for 3 years or more, honor the fans that they're going to be playing for. And I'd be interested to see the reaction of Oakland fans. And yes, I'm allowed to say Oakland, for the Oakland fans, whether or not they'll be pulling for them, or whether or not they're going to be ignoring them, or whether they're going to be turning on the Giants-Astros game that's going on at 8, or whether or not they'll just be avoiding baseball altogether. Full slate of games going on there. I'm going to relaunch the trivia question from earlier, and it's a simple one. Who was the first player to make $100,000 a year for a season? All right. Who was the first $100,000 a year player? That's the trivia question. Put it down here on the YouTube. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. Follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTubes. Talking about Rafael Devers and his dead bat. The Marlins taking advantage of the early part of the year and saying, yes, they are the Sacramento A's. That's just the facts. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.